I really became aware of social stories early on in my career. I got an opportunity to co-treat alongside of a speech language pathologist, which anytime there can be like an integrated team approach, it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. You just learn so much from each other. So this collaboration started learned about social stories, and then the concept of, well, of course we could add music to this and it could really help the information to stick, and add a fun, catchy chorus that kind of drives home the main theme of what you're trying to teach through the social story, whether it's not being a space invader, or whether it's keeping your body calm, or whether it's how to brush your teeth or going to the dentist. So all of those things, but using music as like glue to help that information stick. It's been such a beautiful tool for us to be able to use.
Yeah, definitely. And then it's so fun to see our clients put that information practically to use. So one of my favorite stories is of a little 5-year-old little boy that I worked with who had autism, and he had a twin sister who was typical. And mom purchased like this, had a CD in the car playing the songs that we were using in music therapy sessions. So we started singing, when things don't go my way one week, they took it home and they were singing it on the way to therapy in school the next week. They come back and mom tells me that they were out at a playground and he was able to take that song and the information he learned and applied it on the playground. He wanted to go down a slide. Another little boy was on the slide. He asked if he could have a turn, and the boy said no. So he pulled the lyrics he learned from the song and said, "Okay, I'll just walk away." And he pulled that lyric from the song, walked away. And meanwhile, like, doing a fun dance. And there's another mom, like, kind of like wondering what's going on. But so she introduced herself to the other kid's parents, said why this was such a great, amazing thing. Hey, would you be willing to help me with your son? Could we try it again to give my son a chance to go down the slide? So they did. He got a chance to go down the slide, and it was like a great win for him and his family. So it's really neat how, for every client, that process is going to be a different length of time. But for him, it was within a couple of weeks of learning the song, practicing it, hearing it at home, and then like taking it to the playground where he actually applied it then himself.
Welcome to Cue the Magic Sing a New Song, a podcast that explores how music therapy can break barriers, spark connections, and change your child's life. I am your host, Angie Kopshy, a music therapy expert and the founder of the Global Music Therapy Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to utilizing music's therapeutic power to enhance the lives of kids and parents just like you on a global level. I always say that music therapy is this miraculous thing that's not miraculous at all. It's science, and you'll be blown away by how simple it is. I am here to help you learn the techniques you need to create a happier, healthier household. Let's tune in together and cue the magic. Hi, I'm Angie Kopshy, and it's time for another Try This Tip, where we offer simple music-filled strategies to bring a little more harmony into your daily routine. Today's tip is all about turning your everyday chaos into a musical. We're talking about those get out the door mornings with kids because, let's be honest, getting socks and shoes and jackets on in time for school can feel like a major production. So let's make it one. Instead of constant reminders and rising frustration, try creating a silly custom song that walks your child through each step of the routine. For example, a super familiar and easy to use tune that works perfectly for this kind of morning routine song is If You're Happy and You Know It. It has a predictable melody, it's easy to adapt, and kids often already know the tune, making it instantly fun and familiar. So here's an example that could fit that melody. Put your socks on your feet, nice and neat. Put your socks on your feet, nice and neat. Then your shoes go on your toes. Zip your jacket till it goes. Now we're ready in the car, off we go. And you can keep adding verses like, put your seatbelt on and click, nice and quick. Put your seatbelt on and click, nice and quick. Now the music starts to play. We are on our way today. In the car we're riding smooth, feeling slick. Another fun and super familiar tune to use is The Wheels on the Bus. It's repetitive, it's catchy, it's easy to adapt for just about any routine, and kids love it. So here's an example with The Wheels on the Bus. The socks on your feet go on, 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 on. The socks on your feet go on, before we leave today. The shoes on your feet go stomp, 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 stomp. The shoes on your feet go stomp, 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 before we leave today. The coat on your back goes zip, 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 zip. The coat on your back goes zip, 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 before we leave today. The seatbelt in the car goes click, 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 click. The seatbelt in the car goes click, click, click. Now we're on our way. Sing it with your child, make up movements, or let them add their own verses. The goal isn't perfection, it's connection. Music adds structure, builds anticipation, and can actually make transitions smoother and way more fun. And hey, if it gets you all in the car with smiles instead of stress, that's a win in my book. So give it a try. Turn your morning routine into a musical adventure. And as always, let us know how it goes. Hi, I'm Angie Kopshy. Welcome to Cue the Magic Sing a New Song. Today I am so excited to be interviewing Julie Guy and Angela Neve Meier of the Music Therapy Center, Inc. Can you start by telling us how you got started in the field of music therapy?
Sure, I can go first. I grew up doing a lot of volunteering in my community. I was involved in a youth organization called Campfire. And through that program, as well as in high school, was doing a lot of soul searching, individual work about learning myself and who I was. Also took a career aptitude test in high school. And meanwhile, I was playing in band, playing music. And I knew through all of my volunteer work that I really enjoyed helping people. And that was going to be a big part of my life, always. And so that was the driving force. So I have input as a strength, so I like to learn a lot about every career, see all the options before I make my final answer, my final choice. So literally one day I was looking through like a stand-up file organization system that's like the size of a huge card table, massive table. And I got to M's and music, music, music. And I finally found music therapy as a career. And, back in that time before internet existed, there's a little tiny one paragraph description of music therapy. But I remember getting goosebumps and thinking, this is it. This is the perfect combination of my strengths and me and what I'm looking for, that ability to help people and that ability to use music to help people. So I was hooked from then, even though I hardly knew anything about it. I was, full on. I can't imagine doing anything else. Angela, how about you?
For me, music has always been a huge part of my life. So even as a little girl, like recording my own songs on, yes, a cassette tape player, color coded. And growing up, I initially just wanted to be a rock star, specifically Amy Grant, and wanted to tour the world, writing music and doing all of that. I grew up with a brother with special needs. He had Angelman syndrome, so music was always a part of our life, and helping people was just caretaking was part of my experience. And in high school, I got to shadow a music therapist that my brother Luke had, and from there just got really interested in the career, but still felt like I'm still going to make my way as a rock star. And it wasn't really until college and even after internship that I really was like, no, this is what I was created to do, and really love seeing how music could help people. And it was beautiful to see music in my brother's life, and it was the thing that connected us. So it was the thing that brought us together. So I think having that interest in music and then the personal experience just kind of brought it all together for me and made me realize, yes, this is what I was created to do. So
you both had, at least you had heard of music therapy before you even finished high school. Angela, you in particular, you were exposed pretty early on. And then Julie, like you were in high school when you read that little paragraph, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard people say that there was a book at Barnes and Noble, like choose your career, and there's a little paragraph there. So that's great. A lot of people that I ask this question to, they end up saying, they get through their bachelor's before they even hear of music therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, we were
So,
lucky that we knew about it early.
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And Angela, for you to have that exposure, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing. I got to shadow early back in the Annie Heiderscheit and Kim Hawkins. I mean, these pioneers in the music therapy field, which I didn't realize at the time as a high school student. So,
That's
It's
awesome.
amazing. And I tried to shadow someone, but at that time, back in the early 90s, there wasn't even music therapy in the university program in the state of Washington. So there were very few music therapists. So there was no one I could find. So I didn't even get exposed to music therapy until I went to grad school to get my equivalency in music therapy.
Angela, what do you think makes music therapy a unique field?
well, first and foremost, I think it's the people. Us as music therapists, we often say we are unicorns. I think
Hmm.
this innate ability to help people and to want to make a difference and to show compassion, but also really wanting to help our clients experience success. And then this unique blend of also being a musician. So I think that combination, usually you see, I wouldn't say, I mean, but a lot of times when you see musicians who are performers, they're just interested in performing, but this unique combination of a great desire to want to see a difference made for the clients that we serve, in addition to being a highly skilled musician.
Julie, I'm wondering if you can say more about so music therapy as this unique field. It's also a really unique tool to use for therapeutic purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think another thing that makes music therapy so unique and interesting is how music is processed in the brain and that it requires the entire brain to process. So, I mean, we could spend an entire 8 hour podcast just talking about, music research in the brain and how it functions. But I mean, I think the really amazing thing is that music can act like a detour switch to help us access information in a different way. So it can help us build new neural pathways. It can help us rebuild pathways. So music is a really amazing thing. Of course, we're working on accomplishing non-music goals, whether it's speech language, academics, cognition, attention, motor skills. There's, of course, so many things that we're working on through that, but music is such a powerful tool. And I think we're just barely beginning to see using basic new technologies, really being able to show what music is actually doing for our brain, our body. But it's like a powerful tool. It's really amazing.
I'm wondering if one of you can share an example of a go-to song you might use to address a particular goal.
Gosh, there's so many.
I know.
I think it just depends on the client and what kind of goals that we're really working on. I can just say, in working with young kiddos who may be working on some regulation or emotional regulation, definitely the Keeping Calm song is a go-to song, which is a song that we got to write with a speech language pathologist, and kind of like a social story, but using music as the glue to really help the information stick. And we set the song to be 60 beats per minute, which is the average resting heart rate. So really helps the body regulate. So that tends to be a go-to song I use, especially if a kiddo is just dysregulated or having a difficult time within a session. So I don't know about you, Julie, if you have a go-to song that you love.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's so many for sure. But one that's one of my favorites that tends to suit a lot of ages, young kids as well as individuals with disabilities, and even myself and as an adult, it's a great reminder I'm okay when things don't go my way. So it's another social song story that we wrote in combination with a speech therapist that has picture cards that go with it. But it just applies to so many situations. So we're often using that in session, practicing it when things are going our way, when we're nice and regulated, and then pulling it out in moments when our clients are maybe dysregulated and things are not going their way, so they can practice calming down, regulating themselves, and being able to accept a decision and a choice that maybe was not their preference, which happens a lot. Like I said, as adults, I'm using it for myself all the time.
Yes, let's be honest. I think most of us need to learn that, continually remind ourselves, I'm okay. This did not go my way.
Yeah, I feel like everything I talk about with other music therapists, and we're speaking specifically to kids, but I'm like, yeah, I need that too. all those things for
Hmm.
sure.
Absolutely.
Can one of you talk a little bit more about social song stories and that collaborative process, or just like what is a social song story?
Hmm. Angela, you want to start out?
Sure. I mean, I really became aware of social stories early on in my career. I got an opportunity to co treat alongside of a speech language pathologist, which I was. Anytime there can be like an integrated team approach, it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. You just learn so much from each other. So this collaboration started learned about social stories, and then the concept of, well, of course we could add music to this and it could really help the information to stick, and add a fun catchy chorus that kind of drives home the main theme of what you're trying to teach through the social story, whether it's not being a space invader, or whether it's keeping your body calm, or whether it's how to brush your teeth or going to the dentist. So all of those things, but using, music is like glue to help that information stick. It's been such a beautiful tool for us to be able to use um, ongoing throughout our careers. So
Yeah, definitely. And then it's so fun to see our clients put that information practically to use. So one of my favorite stories is of a little 5-year-old little boy that I worked with who had autism, and he had a twin sister who was typical. And mom purchased like this, had a CD in the car playing the songs that we were using in music therapy sessions. So we started singing, when things don't go my way one week, they took it home and they were singing it on the way to therapy in school the next week. And they come back and mom tells me that they were out at a playground, and he was able to take that song and the information he learned and applied it on the playground. He wanted to go down a slide. Another little boy was on the slide. He asked if he could have a turn, and the boy said no. So he pulled the lyrics he learned from the song and said, okay, I'll just walk away. And he pulled that lyric from the song, walked away. And meanwhile, his mom is like, doing a fun dance. And there's another mom, like, kind of like wondering what's going on. But so she introduced herself to the other kid's parents, said why this was such a great, amazing thing. Hey, would you be willing to help me with your son? Could we try it again to give my son a chance to go down the slide? So they did. He got a chance to go down the slide, and it was like a great win for him and his family. So it's really neat how, for every client, that process is going to be a different length of time. But for him, it was within a couple of weeks of learning the song, practicing it, hearing it at home, and then like taking it to the playground where he actually applied it then himself, which was really cool.
That's such a great story. What a win.
Right?
That's so with these social song stories, do you usually create them in advance? So like you get together with speech therapists and you're like, here are, or are you creating it like in the moment with a client?
We've
yes,
done both. Yes.
yes,
Um,
both and yeah.
that's amazing. That's great. So I know we've spoken before about the concept of making your life a musical, which I feel is like sort of what we're touching upon here,
Mhm.
especially on the playground. Maybe mom wasn't singing that song like the kiddo was singing that song, Julie, but the concept of mom even embracing that. Can you, either of you, like share any more about your idea of making your life a musical and why parents might want to do that?
Oh my goodness. Yes, and Angela can speak to this too as a parent with kids. But we work a lot in school district settings where we are able to collaborate with teachers and classroom staff and therapists. So we see this happen a lot when we're able to train the staff to incorporate the songs and for them to use the songs so that when they see a kiddo, let's say they're at the recess in the playground and they're melting down, they can pull in those lyrics and that song from the Keeping Calm song. But it's really important that everyone knows the songs, everyone's trained, and that they have either their phone nearby where they can play it or that they can just pull it out and use the songs handy in the moment. So there's so many amazing opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of things that come to mind that we're really passionate about. One, it's just play, for a parent is encouraging just to have fun. And sometimes, especially for some of the kiddos that we work with who work so hard, they're in a lot of different therapies or lessons, and giving them the idea like, oh, you can just play. We often say that what we're doing, we're tricking them by saying,
Mm-hmm.
they think that we're just playing, but we're actually working really hard behind the scenes and have a whole process of what we're doing. So encouraging parents and moms to just play with their kids. And then secondly, beginning to equip them with the idea of how music works. So what are the mechanisms and the strategies that are helping, whether it's music is like glue, it can help you remember information, or whether, if you're working on motor movement, music can be, you can entrain with music. It can help you coordinate your movements to be able to walk or to do a movement easier. So I think just beginning to understand all of those behind the scenes strategies and mechanisms for how music works, and trying to break it down for parents so that they can use those tools. Because I encounter parents, and I know Julie has as well, where maybe they took piano lessons as a child, and then they decided, I don't want to be a concert pianist my entire life, so then I just gave up music. And if I can't be a concert pianist, I can't do music. And so it's kind of breaking down those stereotypes of like, you can only be a musician or you can only use music if you're a concert pianist. And no, actually, there's a lot of room in between. And so helping parents realize that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I would encourage parents too to just sing in the moment and make up silly songs to any basic tune. We do that a lot with our parent training programs that we do, and it's really fun because I think parents are like, "Oh, I can't sing," but really they can with any like simple melody. It doesn't even have to be fancy. It could just even be a rhythmic chant and something that you say in a fun manner, but that's rememberable and sticky, even if it's, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or ABC song, right? It's something very simple to any everyday routine that you're trying to do. It makes it much more fun. And we all know like the Barney cleanup song, right? And that type of thing sticks in your head. The same type of a principle applies with any other everyday skill you're doing. Makes life a lot more fun and makes life a musical, like you said, Angie.
Yeah, and a couple of things that I hear in this, I've spoken about with other music therapists. When a parent is watching a music therapy session, it may look like they're just having fun. Like where are the goals? Like what is being addressed here? But we hear these stories later on where this song has come back and it has served a great purpose. And with, like you were saying, with entrainment or even anxiety reduction, like where we're working on having them breathe, or I feel like we have hidden objectives within the songs. And so for parents who are watching, I feel like try to trust the process and know that like there's a lot going on in the back of our heads, and we're watching everything, and we're really good at shifting and pivoting in the moment, right? So we have that end, and then also, yes, encouraging parents to make up ridiculous songs about anything and everything, anywhere, everywhere, and make music fun. I'm wondering if either of you have a favorite song that you might use specifically for motor movement.
I mean, I think part of that stems from what is the movement that we're trying to work on. So whether it's gait or whether it's reaching or whether it's bilateral coordination. And then I guess the other thing that for me also comes into play is the child's preferences. So for instance, I'm just thinking of my own kids who love Paw Patrol. And so if I was working on a motor, like a bilateral movement, and if I was doing drumming or something, it would be setting the cadence so it's appropriate for how fast that they're moving, and then incorporating preferences where I can. And then, just seeing what their response is, and, kind of building off of that. I don't know what you would say, Julie.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, there's some favorites out there, that are already pre-recorded that are super fun that I love using for pretend play, which is often essential with young kiddos. It's not like we're going to go let's practice arm curls or let's do something to strengthen our legs, right? I mean, again, tricking them into having fun with what they're doing to engage motor movement. So I love Lori Berkner and Stephanie Leval, music for kiddos. There's some really amazing like pre-recorded music that I would encourage parents to explore and use that, have the directions included in it. The Hokey Pokey is like all-time favorite for everyone, or if you're happy and you know it is super basic, easy, because you can use an AAC device for communication and ask we should do next, what action, and make it really fun and playful. So there's so many songs out there.
Yeah, and I would just say even just having a dance party can be a wonderful way to initiate movement and to work on some of those goal areas too. So
And again, as adults, we should just have more dance parties too.
yes, agreed. Yes. My
Absolutely.
kids have, I have a record player in our living room, and for whatever reason, I have this old Disco Mickey record, and it is like their favorite record. And so we put that on, and everybody has like specific dance moves, and it's great. It's interactive, it's social, it gets them moving, and
Hey
they're not sitting
everyone,
in front of
we
the
have big
TV. So
news.
anyway,
The Global Music
use
Therapy
what you have.
Project has finally been approved to host the ultimate PDX bingo game show. Think bingo meets game show madness with a late night twist. Win cash, score amazing prizes, and support a great cause. The proceeds go towards expanding the reach of the Global Music Therapy Project and making a real difference in the lives of children and families around the world, all while having a great time. Join our mailing list at pdxbingo.com to be the first to know when tickets drop. We can't wait to see you there. Right, right. I love it. And Angela, speaking of that, I'm wondering if either of you can, if you have recommendations on how parents can create a more musically rich atmosphere at home or in the car, but any ideas?
Lots of ideas. Gosh. I mean, these are just like a few little simple techniques I've used with my own kids as hacks. But like mealtime can be particularly troublesome, especially when you're trying to wrangle everybody to get to the table. So I will even just put on Carnival of the Animals at times, like just as a way to calm them down. Sometimes I'll use the actual video from YouTube or something with the actual animals, and it's great because without them even knowing, all of a sudden they're calmer. They don't realize what's happening, but it's helping them to be able to calm down. So, of course, that's great at bedtime too, especially if you're having difficulty falling asleep. We started recently on our phones using the voice memo app, and as we were driving home, I was not holding the phone, but I would have them get to record their own made up songs. And they loved just recording their own songs and playing it back. I think them hearing their voice. So super simple. Just use the voice memo app on your phone and they get to make up their own songs. And it's a great way to help them be creative, help them express maybe how their day went, and also not have them melting down as you're driving home.
Even using like YouTube for sung books, if you have the book at home too, but incorporating the sung book via YouTube, if you're not comfortable singing it yourself from a parent perspective, it can be really fun. And there's just so many hundreds of sing along books that would be amazing for that.
And the idea of using a recorded song, first of all, you're potentially entraining them, right? Either calming them down or exciting them. But to use the same song for a transition. So like every time it's time for dinner, like you put on the song and that automatically you're transitioning without even having to say anything. Yeah, I
Hmm.
love the voice memo. I never thought about I use voice memo all the time, but that's great.
Yeah.
It's like a cassette player, Angela, that you had when you were a kid, but the high tech version.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. It's better than those little color coded star stickers I had because I couldn't even read yet.
I'm wondering if either of you, if a parent was to say, how do I know if music therapy is a good fit for my kiddo? What would your answer be?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are several different great indicators. One, if your child, of course, is singing or really engaging anytime music is turned on or starts dancing or seems super motivated with music, I would definitely say if you catch them um, making up their own songs or if they gravitate to if they see someone playing an instrument and gravitate towards playing an instrument, I definitely think that may be a great indicator that maybe an auditory modality for helping them learn could be a really great tool. Julie, what would you say?
I would say sometimes parents come saying, especially in the school setting, that kiddos, they've noticed their child learns better through music, that they'll learn skills through music, but they'll have difficulty learning skills in other settings with just auditory directions and skills. So yeah, everyone loves music. I think a lot of people respond to music. I think just that natural gravitation towards music. And when you're choosing music over anything else, maybe they're drawn to, they'll be watching a movie and not paying attention, but the song comes on and you see them really cueing in anytime that music is playing, or you've got YouTube on and they're always being drawn to songs. I think those are the types of indicators that parents say that that's when they know their kid is really motivated by music.
Do you feel like educators or other therapists can use music within their work?
Absolutely
Yes.
not. No. Just kidding. Of course. Yes, I mean, I think we're really passionate about, helping teachers in, we work in the schools and we get to train other professionals and help them also see how they can utilize music, whether it's recorded or whether it's, as Julie was saying earlier, making up silly songs for transitions, or even just a quick little da 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 da, things that are probably naturally happening in a lot of classrooms, but just amplifying that and saying, okay, if that's working here, how could you apply that same idea over here to help grab the class attention or something like that? So I definitely think the beauty of collaboration is really important. So I know, Julie, you can talk even more about that.
Oh, I agree fully. We don't own music, and we all know music works. So why not use a technique that's really engaging for everyone? I think, like Angela said, just talking about that collaboration, music therapists can bring another level of depth into the conversation. So, for example, I'll be in a school setting collaborating with a teacher, and they'll use a lot of YouTube videos, but they'll just turn the video on and play. And they don't ever, this is where a music therapist can come in and say, well, let's modify and adapt this YouTube video. That's amazing. Let's take some screenshots. Let's make some visuals. Let's print them out. Let's give choices. Let's pause the video, push the pause button. The pause button is your friend, which is one of our favorite things to say. And then let's check for understanding. Where's if you're doing Pete the cat and Pete the cat is stepped in strawberries, what color are his shoes? Now we can, let's pause it. Where's red? Show me red, or show me what he stepped in. Do you step in blueberries or strawberries? Strawberries, right? So I think there's a lot of ways that we can help even teachers. They're using these great songs for teaching, but they don't know how to take it to the next step to really help transfer the skill outside of just watching the video. And that's where the beauty of collaboration comes in, is that we can enhance those experiences to really make it a really rich experience for kiddos.
If a parent is listening right now and they're like, music therapy might be great for my kiddo in the public school system, do you have any advice for how they can advocate for that?
Talk to your IEP team. That's like the first starting point, is getting them on board, and having, a list of talking points of why and how your child responds to music. Because as a music therapist in the school setting, unless a school district just hires a music therapist full time and provides music therapy to everyone, which is certainly not the case here in the state of California where I'm located, you really have to advocate for services, and you have to show that music is necessary for that child to be making progress and learning. So if the child is making progress and learning with the things that they have in place already with their IEP, it can be really hard to justify with an assessment even showing that music therapy is necessary for them to make progress on their goals. So I would say, come in thinking, understanding it to whatever extent you can, and being able to advocate. How is your child responding to music? How are they relying on it as a learning modality? How are you using it with your child at home? And having those examples ready to go for the team to talk about when you ask for an assessment would be really helpful.
Are we in competition so when it comes to IEPs, are we in competition with speech or occupational therapy? Or if a parent comes in and says my kiddo with music will verbalize or something, but in speech therapy doesn't, do you feel like that's an issue at all?
No, I don't feel like we're in competition so much as we are constantly having to advocate and prove and show that we are making a difference and justify the service. That's the hard part for music therapy.
And I guess I would just add to that and say, even in my own professional experience, I do find us as music therapists are bridge builders in terms
Hmm.
of there are other therapists, and I would say it's therapists, not necessarily professions, that are territorial. And so we
Hmm.
are constantly building bridges and constantly saying, here's how we can work together. I'm trying to add to, I'm not trying to
Hmm.
replace. And you obviously are the expert in XYZ. I know music. That's what I'm doing. I'm bringing music to the table. I'm adding it in to enhance what you're doing, not to replace or take away.
So, a powerful thing for a parent to do is to potentially connect all the team members, connect the music therapist with
Hmm.
speech therapist, occupational therapist, and invite them to communicate with one another.
Yes, absolutely. We're really always encouraging our team to do that. It's such a great way because we can help provide strategies for the school team, and the school team can provide us with great behavioral strategies and things like that are working so we can be consistent across the board. So even if the student doesn't have music therapy on their IEP, a lot of times parents will give us that permission to collaborate with the school teams. And it's so great when we have that opportunity. It benefits everyone.
So, do you have a typical experience when working within the school system? Is it like a group session usually or an individual session? How often? What does that look like?
It's very specific and individualized depending upon the results of the assessment. So for the most part with our younger kids, it's usually individual unless they have social goals or goals that they're working on generalizing with another peer or with a group of peers. So we're usually doing individual work, and service amounts and levels can really vary. Sometimes we're in every week doing 30-minute sessions, 20-minute sessions. Sometimes we're in every week doing 45-minute sessions and consultation. So really depends on the type of goals that the student has, how they're responding, how their progress is going. Also slightly depends upon their support team and the other services that they have, and how much consultation training that we can provide. So you'll really see at least in our case, in every district, I'm sure in state is different, but you'll see a big variety of services and duration of services as well.
Angela, what is your favorite thing about being a music therapist?
My favorite thing about being a music therapist is really just seeing the change, right? Seeing and being able to be a part of my clients' lives and my clients' journeys and getting to see that change over time. I think of the stories. We just celebrated 20 years as a business, and it was really fun to kind of dig into the catacombs and look at some of the
Mm-hmm.
stories of some of our clients and just, that rear view mirror perspective of being able to look back and see how far that they've come. Some of our clients, I remember this one client I had who I started seeing him in a home setting early on in my career, and he wouldn't even come into the room with me. I think it took us a month just to get him to sit at the piano with me. So he finally sat at the piano with me. And then we started, doing music therapy. And eventually he learned how to play the piano. And eventually he joined a rock band as a teenager. And I remember distinctly when I was chatting with his mom, and we were talking about the rock band going out into the community to perform. And his mom was like, absolutely not. No way. She was terrified of how he would be received by the community. And I said, I think my purpose and my goal is to create a successful experience and to make sure whatever happens, we are going to make this a positive experience. And he did great. He went on to flourish. And, he was with us for, gosh, I want to say about 20 years and has since moved away. And I still get videos from this client, and he's out in the community performing. He's doing open mic nights. And so that's just so gratifying to see he's built this skill for himself compared to the child who would not even come into the room with me early on. So of course you don't always get to see that trajectory with every client you work with, but when you do, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. Yeah.
To dovetail off what Angela said, I think it's finding joy in little tiny successes in little everyday things. Maybe one day your student comes in and they're having a meltdown and it's been a really rough day. Parents are frazzled, exhausted. Never happens, right, ladies? Parents are like at their wits end. They're like, just take them. And then being able to help them transform from the beginning of the session, help them regulate, help them calm down, help them leave a better version of themselves, and also providing a little space for parents to have a break as well. But just, it could be this a littlest, tiniest of changes that accumulate over time. And then, sometimes we are fortunate enough to have those breakthrough moments, and those are just amazing and wonderful to have. We had a individual with Down syndrome who had graduated high school, so a little bit older, and his mom was bringing him to music therapy. He'd stopped speaking. He'd regressed. I guess she had gone back to work for whatever reason, and he had stopped speaking. And so when he came to music therapy, wasn't speaking, but loved music, would always light up. And one day Angela and I were co-treating and had a couple other peers in the room, his very similar age range. And I think it was Angela thought to put a microphone in front of him. And even when he would try to talk, sometimes he was so quiet, you really couldn't hear what he was saying. So when we put a microphone in front of him, he just really lit up and he started singing and we could actually hear him. He was singing all of the words. You just couldn't hear his articulation and what he was singing without that microphone there. And so we're all applauding and cheering and getting video. I go out into the waiting room, tell his mom, and it's like waterworks. She starts crying. She calls dad immediately. I mean, those that happens too with young kiddos. They'll come to us not speaking, nonverbal, maybe they're 4 or 5. And when we start using music, the brain starts wiring together, and music is able to create this new pathway and bridge to access language. And they start babbling more, they start using words more. And so often music is like the tool that can help really break through a wall barrier. So at any age. So those are the moments we love and live for, but again, those little tiny moments are just as important, because that little drop at a time, gets us really amazing results.
Yes, that's so true. I mean, the cathartic moments where parents are crying, like those are amazing and we'll never forget them, but also the little tiny moments that we see every day are great. I love to bring parents in at the end of the session for a little, I do a lot of adapted piano lessons. So sometimes it's just like a mini concert where parent comes in for the last 2 minutes and we play a song, and it's so fun, and the kids are so proud and the parents are so proud. But do you have any final words of advice for parents who want to start utilizing music more for their kiddos?
Dive in. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do the next thing, right? Don't worry about failing. Don't worry about making a mistake. I would say just dive in and play. And you just highlighted something that I think is so beautiful, is I think music can be a safe space and a place where even parents and kids can bond and experience a new level of their relationship where maybe they're not able to in other places. So I think also parents being able to see their child in a different light can just really help them connect in a different way. So I think, yeah, just try something. Just try something.
That's great, Angela. I don't know that I have anything to add to that. I mean, I think that, if you're not comfortable using music, you're not the only one out there. So thank goodness. I don't know what we do without technology, but whether, like Angela said earlier, pull out some records on a record player and just have a dance party, pull out your favorite music. I mean, kids start by listening to music that their parents are listening to before they start to develop their own tastes. We find our kids have huge musical tastes. They love everything from Lori Burke, the Goldfish, to, I don't know, I love rock and roll. And you find everything in between. Sometimes they love classical music. So thank goodness for YouTube and amazing other resources out there. There's some really great things. You just have to Just have to start somewhere, start anywhere, and like Angela said, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, yeah. So dive in, use recorded music, make up your own music. Stephanie Level and I talked a lot about the beauty of imperfection and
Hmm.
mistakes within
Hmm.
music. So I really feel like giving parents permission and honestly encouraging them to make mistakes, and
Yeah.
that way those kids get to see that too. But to really just dive in and just do it and be ridiculous, and it still
Playful.
works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any upcoming projects that you can share with us?
I mean, we always have lots of projects we're working on. I mean, we just had an opportunity to present at the Midwest Music Therapy Conference, and I know Julie was at the Western Region Music Therapy Conference, but locally in San Diego, we've got a recital coming up in June, which is fun. Um, we do occasionally do some online trainings for parents, so we may have some of those coming up in the upcoming year. We also have some resources, some free trainings online as well through our website. So if families are interested in learning more techniques or strategies, or hey, how can I work on some, brushing teeth with my kids. We've got some resources there, many of them free, that you can also
Hmm.
access as well. So
Yeah. So, and how can parents find you?
www, the World Wide Web, themusictherapycenter.com. So themusictherapycenter.com.
Can you say a little more about what online training with parents looks like?
Julie, I'll let you talk about this.
Sure. We have a couple of, well, we have some free trainings that parents can access. We have an adapted keyboard kit. So if you have students who are learning piano and you want to adapt a piano at home, that's a great free resource. We also have some In Harmony Learning In Harmony Learning program trainings where you can learn academics, coping skills, and a few other things just for free. But when we'll host Zoom trainings and do parent training that starts to cover like how to write a song and learning a little bit about the research behind music and how music works. And we give some really practical examples about how to use music for everyday things like giving a direction, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sit down, things like that. So our trainings cover, some practical attention grabbing, attention getting things. It also covers, how to write a song, and they get a chance to actually leave with the song that they wrote at the end of that training. Yeah, so those are a couple of the things that we do.
What did you present about at conference?
We did a CMTE, a 5-hour CMTE on what was it this time, Angela?
Strategies for those who are for neurodiverse and those with neurodevelopmental challenges for speech and language specifically. So, yeah.
Wow.
Midwest region, I was presenting a research poster session, which was really exciting, a program that we've done using music for developing social skills in a group-based community program. And so we were presenting the results of that. It's really fun.
Jam sessions. Yeah, the jam session
Yes.
program. Yeah.
Hmm.
Any other resources you want to tell us about?
I mean, I think our website is probably the greatest one for people to go to in terms of across regions.
So we have all the social channels, YouTube channel, we have Instagram, we have a Pinterest page that has tons of fun music instruments and music therapy resources that families and therapists alike can come find some of our favorite things. Of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and that's a great way to keep up in touch with all the current things going on. So like all of our trainings and things will be listed there, or you can sign up online for our newsletter. But that's another great way that we send out information when we have upcoming events.
Great, great. And I'll be sure to share all your links in the show notes. And congratulations on celebrating 20 years.
Thank
That is
you.
amazing. Thank you for all your work in this field. And we're still opening a music therapy center in Iowa.
Yes, that's the goal. So I was in San Diego for 22 years and recently moved to the Midwest. So our hope and goal is to be opening a center here as well. So music therapy is going to take over the world. So we envision a world where music therapy is everywhere. So yeah,
Accessible to everyone. Yeah, that's
yes,
our vision statement.
that's our vision statement. So we're trying to do our part to make that happen. So yeah.
Julie, Angela, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
It's been a
having us,
joy.
Angie.
It's been a joy. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for joining our interview with Angela Neve Meier and Julie Guy. Their work at the Music Therapy Center is such a powerful reminder of how music can create meaningful change, support development, and bring people together. If this episode spoke to you, we'd be so grateful if you followed the show and left a review. Your support helps us share these meaningful conversations and bring the power of music to more families who need it. Before we close today's episode, I want to share a song from our album, Songs for Kids on the Autism Spectrum, a collection designed to support daily routines, promote communication, and create joyful moments of connection between kids and their caregivers. This track is called I Gotta Go Potty. Potty training can be a challenge for so many families, and this song was created to make the process a little more playful and a lot less stressful. It uses simple, repetitive lyrics and a steady rhythm to support understanding, memory, and body awareness, while helping kids recognize the feeling of needing to go and walking them through the process. Whether you're just starting potty training or reinforcing it with a child who needs extra support, this song helps create consistency, laughter, and even a little empowerment. So go ahead, sing along, celebrate small victories, and we'll see you next week in another episode of Cue the Magic, Sing a New Song. Here's I Gotta Go Potty.
I gotta go potty, that's what I'll do. I gotta go potty, flush, wash, and be all through. Listen to my body, I've got to go. Pull down my pants, I can do it on my own. I gotta go potty, that's what I'll do. I gotta go potty, flush, wash, and be all through. I went in the potty, pull up my pants, flush